Finally, now, maybe the question all of you guys have been waiting for is the 15-mark question. So the way I'm going to do this is just the same way I did the other pseudocode. I'm going to do the plan. I'm going to explain how everything works, and that's how we'll do it. So let's begin with this question. The one-dimensional array, okay, and we got this array. This array is team name, and it's a 1D array. I'm hoping you guys know the difference between 1D array or 2D array. I'll explain that in just a moment, okay? Just let's read this throughout first. So this 1D array, which is called team name, is containing the names of the teams in a sports league. So it just contains the name of teams. Then we got this 2D array. This 2D array is called team points, and it will contain the points awarded for each match. So these teams are playing some matches, and it will store the points for every match in this team points. It's then telling us the position of each team's data in the two arrays is the same. For example, the team stored at index 10 will be this. So basically, they both are at the same index. I've already explained what index means in the question previously, but I'll explain it again once we finish this. Then it's telling us the variable. So here it told us the arrays that we're going to be needing, and here now we've been told the variables. The variables here are league size, and league size is the number of teams that are going to be participating in this sports league, and also the variable match number, which I think contains the number of matches played. Okay, perfect. So we have the number of teams and the number of matches. And they all have played the same number of matches. Okay, everyone has played the same number of matches. Okay. Then we have each match can be played either home or away, and the points are recorded. So I get 3 points if I win in the away, 2 points if I win in home, 1 drawn match. Okay, so these are constants because they will never change. There will always be 3 points when I win away. Now, this is just like an introduction to what info we have. The first part is what information do we have? And now I'm going to use this information to get this answer. It's telling us we write a program. We're supposed to write this program to, first of all, calculate the points for all matches played for each team. Okay, I'm supposed to calculate total points. I'm supposed to calculate the total number of away wins, home wins, drawn matches. So I need to keep a count of all of this. I need to then output all of this. I'll have to output the name, the total points, and this. So I basically have to output this information. Then I need to find the outputs of the names of the highest and lowest. Okay. And then you must use pseudocode, program code. For this video, I'll be using pseudocode. I advise you guys to use pseudocode because, you know, pseudocode is the standard language. So it'll be easier for me to teach. And also we use pseudocode in other questions. So, you know, why not use in this question? It's the same thing. Instead of learning many codes, just learn pseudocode. You do not need to declare any arrays, variable, constants. You may assume this is done. So this is done. Okay. And then inputs, outputs must be suitable. So it's like a mini pre-release. It's giving me pre-release vibes. It's just a mini pre-release. And I didn't need to initialize the data in this. Okay. It's time for the plan. It's time for the plan. This plan will be a bit of a bigger plan. Okay, this will be a bigger plan. Okay. So this is the plan. First things first, let's go, and we need what variables. Okay, but before I even do this, I need to explain the concept of arrays and how arrays work. I need to explain how arrays work. How they work. Okay, so how does an array work? So we have two types of arrays in this question. We have a 1D array and we have a 2D array. These two types of arrays, what's the difference between a 1D array and a 2D array? An example of a 1D array is just array 1, and I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 1D array, what we used in the previous question for numbers, where there's just one value, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 2D array now. The 2D array will store two values. For example, team 1, and it's going to store 5 points. Team 2, and it's going to store 6 points. And that's why in array 2 they are telling us in this 2D array it's going to contain the points awarded for each match. So in this means that it's going to say team 1 gets this many points, team 2 gets this many points for every match. Okay, yeah, for each match the team. So this is a 1D array, this is a 2D array. I'm hoping you have understood that part. Okay, now once you've understood the arrays, let's go to the plot now. Variables that I'm going to be needing. First of all, of course, I'll be needing the variables they have told us, which is match number and the league size. So league size match number. Of course, I'm going to use this. What are the other variables that I may use? Maybe we might use total points. Total points. We could use total points because in this question, it's telling us to output the total points. And then it's telling us to also output the away wins, home wins, number. So I can store this in different variables, the away wins, the home wins, and the drawn match wins. So I'm going to store this in all arrays. So away win, I'm going to say away win number. What is the other one? Away win number, home win number, and draw win number. So these are arrays that will count the number of, and then there's lost number. Okay, so these are my arrays, right? We got this. Also then, we will need arrays for the highest total points, lowest total points. So highest, let's say highest results, and lowest results. These are just a plan, like, what I'm going to do. Of course, I can use more variables as we go on. Now, let's go with the arrays. The arrays, we only have 2 arrays that we'll be needing, and the 2 arrays they told us, which is going to be the team name and the team points. Those are the only arrays that we're going to need. The team, maybe we can add some as we go on, but for now, I'm just saying that we have team points, and what was the other one? Team points and team name. We can add always, of course, as we go on. Maybe we could add one for total points. No, wait, okay, that would be a variable, right? That would be a variable. Okay, that's that. Now, loop. Which loop am I going to use? I'm going to use several loops. I think our first loop would be the for loop. I'm going to go through every team and I'm going to do calculations on that team. There's also if I'm going to use it when I want to find the highest and lowest. Yeah. Now, I want to just understand, I want to teach you guys the logics for this question. I want to teach you the logic for this question. And I want to teach you what this question is asking us to do. So if I get the question and if I understand the question right, the first thing that they've told us is that we are supposed to calculate the total points for all matches played for each team. Okay, I'm just going to rub this. It's a bit of... why did that erase it? Okay, let's just erase this for now. Let's just clear it. Okay, so it's telling us that I'm supposed to calculate the total points for all matches played for each team. Okay, and in the start they've told us that we have this team name contains all the teams and the team points. So that means a team 1 and team points 1 will calculate the points awarded for each match. So I need to, first of all, we do not have total points, do we? We do not have total points anywhere. So we need to find a way to calculate total points. We need to find a way to calculate total points. Yeah. So we need to find a way to get total points. Okay. Because we have team name and we have team points. And then we have a league size, which will contain the number of teams. And then we have a match number. Okay. So calculate total points for all matches played in each team. So I need to say, first of all, use a for loop and go over a loop. Okay, I'll go over a loop from 1 to league size, because I don't know how many teams are participating. So from 1 to league size. So if there are 10 teams, it will repeat 10 times. And I need to find total points. Okay, I need to find total points. Now, what I can do is I'm going to add another array. This array will store the total points of each team. So I'm going to add another array here, and this array will be called total points, where it's going to simply calculate the total points for each number of teams. Okay, so my for loop is going to start by saying the total points is going to be 0. I'm going to set all of the total points 0, and then I'm going to find a way to add to the total points once I find a way to use arrays, and then I'm going to add it to total points. So let's just begin with the code. And I'll explain as we go over that. This plan, we'll right now just put it down here in case we need it later. So let's begin. What am I going to start off with? So I first said I'm going to set total points to 0. I'm going to first set total points to 0. So I'm going to use a for loop. So we're going to start off for. I'm going to say team counter. Okay, I said whenever you start a for loop, you could say for counter or for team counter. Because I'm counting the number of teams, I'm going to say for team counter. Okay, and I'm going to actually leave some space above in case I need some variables later. So I'm going to say in case I want to store a variable outside, I'm going to do that. Okay, so for team counter, I'm going to say 1 to league size, because league size is the number of teams. We don't know how many teams are playing, so I'm going to just say league size. Now this for loop is going to go 1 to the second one, to the third one, to the fourth one, to the fifth one, till the league size is over. So I want to set the total points is going to be my array, and the total points team counter, I'm going to set it all to 0. So what this will do is we'll have an array called total points, and it will just set 0, 0, 0, 0 to how many number of teams there are. And the reason I'm doing this is because later on in the code, I'm going to add to this. Okay, I'm going to add to these indexes later. So I'm sort of setting up an array right now on how many elements they're going to be. And then I'm just going to say n4. So it's a quick one. Or so not n4, next team counter. Just that. So what this does is that I'm going to go over the first one, the second one, the third one, over the league size. Okay, and this team points, I'm going to make it all 0. So this will be the array that's going to be formed. And this number of elements will decide upon the league size. We don't know how big the league size is. Okay, that's the reason why I'm doing this. If we knew the number of league sizes, then we could have already made an array with like how many elements, but we don't know that. That's the first step. I'm hoping you've understood the first step. I'm just making an array for the total points, and I'm setting everything to 0. Now let's find a way to calculate total points, because I need to find a way to calculate total points, and I need to find a way to calculate the number of away wins, home wins, and drawn wins. So I need to find the way of this. Now to do this, I need to again use a for loop. I will use a for loop again. So for, we can use team counter again, it doesn't matter. For team counter, 1 to league size. Okay, again, this will go this many amount of times. And what we're going to do is for every team, we're going to have the numbers of, stored. Okay, so what we're going to say is that the away wins count is going to be 0. Home win number or home win count. Home win count is going to also be 0. We want to find the away wins, home wins, drawn matches. So we're gonna have to add draw. So we can say draw count I'll tell you why I'm doing this, and lost count. All of this will be 0. So this will loop again and again and again. So this will never, it'll keep changing, keeps changing. Okay. Of course, it says 0, but then it'll keep changing within the loop. As the loop progresses, it'll change. So just wait a hold on a minute and you'll understand everything. Now, within a loop, we're going to add another for loop. And we're going to say for. Now, we're going to actually calculate the number of points per match, which is stored in the team points. So I'm going to say for match counter, the same 1, 2, league size. Okay, for match counter, 1 to league size. I need to find a way to calculate total points. So to calculate total points, and then I'll write match counter. Actually team counter, because I want to store this on the, it doesn't matter actually, but I'll say team counter. Okay, and the way I'm going to calculate total points is I'm going to add the total points in this plus the team points in the match counter. Okay, in the match counter. But remember, team points is a 2D array, right? Team points is a 2D array. So in the 2D array, I will have to state the team name and then the points will come there. So I need to store this whole thing on the total points. So let me show you how this is going to make sense. So first, this thing right here, team points, total counter, is going to just be repeated here. Okay. Maybe I need to find a way to make this a bit smaller so that I can fit everything in here. Okay. So total points, team counter is going to be total points, team counter. It's just like saying total. It's the same principle I'm using. Total is equals to total. Plus, we said new value. Now, this new value, I'm going to find it from the team points. I'm going to find the new value from the team points because team points is a 2D array that will store the number of points that per team. Okay, so I'm going to say team points, okay, which is my array, team points, and in the team points we have the team counter, because I want to access the index, the first index, and I want to get the match counter. So this one is for match counter, this is for team counter. So you know, in the team points, it's going to be structured like this. I'm going to give an example of how team points will look like. It's going to look like this: team A, and it's going to say 3 points. Team B, and it's going to say 2 points. Then it's going to say team A again, 2 points. That means this was their first match, this was their second match. So the purpose of match counter is to find the index of this and this. That's the purpose of match counter. Okay, that's the purpose why we're using match counter. So I'm going to add this to the total points. I'm going to add this to the total points right here. I really wanted it to be all in one line, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm just going to say plus. Okay, of course, in your exam, you write it a bit smaller, but yeah. Now, you can use an if loop, you can use a case loop, but I think the easiest way is going to be using a case loop. A case loop, you know how to use it, guys. A case loop will just go through each point. Now I'm gonna tell you how this works. Okay, so case of team points, and we'll have team counter, match counter. only want to take this part. Okay, so it's going to be something like this. Let's make it a bit smaller. So what this does is case of T points, team counter, match counter. Okay, and what we're going to do to this, is that, remember in the start we did this away wins count. Now we're going to use it. We're going to say away win count. We're going to say home win count. We're going to say draw count, and we're going to say lost count. If it's an away win, okay, I'll have to actually scoot this in the side here. Now remember, we have constants, and the constants are home, away win, home win, and drawn match. So whenever it's a away win, then I'm going to count on the count number for away wins. So whenever it's an away win, whenever it's a home win, these are all constants, home win. Whenever it's what's the other one, drawn match, so we're going to just say draw, and we're going to say lost. So what these things are here are actually constants. These are just constants. Okay, these are constants, and away win is going to be away win count, and then you're going to say we're going to say away win count plus 1, because I'm counting the number of away win counts. So I can also say when 3 is an away win. Okay, another way I can write this is 3 away win count, but I'm going to use the constants because they told us to use the constants. 2 then home win. I can also write it like this. So what this does is that if my team points is 3, then I'm going to say away count is away count plus 1. Okay, if they get a 2 point, that means I'm going to say home win count is home win count plus 1. I'm not storing the number of points for away win, I'm just counting it. Okay, I'm hoping this understands, but again in the end I'm going to explain everything again so that you understand this. So now it's going to be a bit repetitive. Home win count is just home win count. Draw count is just going to be draw count here. Loss count is just going to be loss count here. And put an arrow in all of them. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. I can use if statements, but if statements is going to be very complicated. So that's going to just be case. I'm going to say end case. There should all be an indentation actually. Okay, and end the case. Okay, and you would say next match counter. So what's happening here so far is that okay, I'll explain that in the end. So I've done this part, right? Now I need to just output everything. Okay, so I'm going to say output. Let's see, what do they want me to output? They want me to output the total points. They want me to output the total number of away wins. They want me to output the number, name, the total points, and this, all of this. Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying output, and with team, I'm going to have to output the team, and this team will be output by just team name. Remember, all of this is within the loop, so I can say team counter. It's all within the loop. So in fact, I have to even indent it a bit. This is all within the loop. Okay, this is all within the loop. Okay, now it's kind of repetitive. I have to output the team name. I have to output the total points. And then total points will be, of course, total Let's see. So total points will be um, so this output total points, and then I just have to output total points, then team counter. So total points, team counter. So this total points is coming from here. This one right here. So it's coming from there. Okay. It's coming from there. Then we need to output also. Okay, so I've outputted the team name, I've outputted the total points. I need to output away wins. Output away wins, and this will be away win count. We just calculated all of that. Output home wins, and the home wins will be the home win count, and then it just continues. So output draws, and then draw count, and last but not least is output loss, and it'll be loss count. And remember, it's being stored here, it's being added. Okay, so that is how we do so far. We do all of that. I'm hoping everyone understands this, but again, at the end of this, when I finish, I'm going to explain everything again so that you just get a grasp of it and you understand everything that you need to understand for this. Okay, so I'm hoping that's gonna help. Okay, so we have done all of this for team counter, 1, league size, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Okay, now I need to check how to find highest and lowest. So highest and lowest. Do I need to find the count, or do I need to find outputs, the name of the team with the highest total points? Okay, so I need to just find the total points. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to say that I'm going to have a variable outside this for loop, and I'm going to say highest is going to be, the highest we're going to say will be the total points. Actually no, we're going to say highest would be 0, lowest would be also 0. Highest is 0, lowest is 0. So I'm going to make this like a totaling count. What we do with variables for total, I'm going to do the same thing. So highest and lowest. Now I go down, right? If team counter, or you could say team name, team counter, whatever. If team counter if total points, yeah, because we have to calculate the total points. So if total points of my team counter, is greater than highest result, then what I'm going to do is highest result, or I'm going to say actually if it's greater than if it's greater than highest. Okay, my variable was called highest. So highest will therefore equals to highest plus the total points. Okay, highest. No, it's sorry. I don't have to add. I have to just save. Okay, so highest will then be total points team counter. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Team counter. I don't have to total. I have to only save the one with the highest and the one with the lowest points. Okay, and then you could say uh, you have to also store the index. So top team will be team counter. Okay, because later on when I want to output it, I need it. And then I'm going to say end if. Now this same thing, I'm just going to do the reverse of it. So with the help of my editing, I'm going to just put this down. Okay, I have to delete all of this. This was clear to everybody, hopefully. This was just for the logics. Okay, let's put this down, and now I have to just change everything to lowest. Change this to lowest, and this of course has to be now less than. And then change this to lowest, and then you can change this to bottom team counter end if. So yeah, there you go. That is what you do. And then in the end, for this whole long list of for loop from starting from here, I have to say next team counter. So far everything I was doing was actually in a loop. Now I need to just output the highest points and the lowest points. So highest top team is, the top team will be the team name, okay, the team name, and the index which we said was top team, okay, team name top team. Team name top team, and of course the bottom team. If you also want to output the points, that's okay, that's up to you. Team name bottom team. There you go, that outputs it, and that should be fine. Okay, I need to put an output also down here. Okay, so that will make it that. So that is how you do the pseudocode. I'm hoping everyone has understood. I'm going to just go over it one more time, just one last time, going over everything. So we start off, we have a for loop here, which will go from 1 to league size, so it'll repeat depending on how many teams they are, and I'm just setting everything to 0. This will be a new array, it's called total points, and everything is going to be 0, and I go to next team counter. So that for loop ends. This for loop is the big for loop that we're going to do every calculation now. So for team counter, 1 to league size, I'm going to be having to store the number of counts of away wins, home wins, draw, lost. So I'm going to set everything to 0 within this loop. Okay, so every time this loop starts, it's going to always start to 0. So it's going to start fresh for every team. Then I'm using another for loop, a nested for loop. Whenever a for loop is within a for loop, we say it's a nested for loop. And now I've added something called a match counter, which will mean that I need to know the number of matches, because in our team points, it's a 2D array, so it will store the team name and the points. So 1 to league size, team points, team counter is going to be team points, team counter. So basically like the total plus new value, and then team points, team counter, match counter. Every time in a 2D array, you can access two values by saying team counter and match counter. Then I use the case otherwise just to add up the team count. So if it was away win count, then I'm going to add it. If it was home win count, I'm going to add it. If it was draw, lost, end case. Next, match counter. Then I need to just output everything they've told us. When I go to the question, it tells us to output the name, the total points, the total number of away wins, home wins. So that makes it around 6 outputs. So you can see here we have 6 outputs. Now finally, for the last part, I need to calculate highest and lowest. In the start of the loop, I set highest to 0 and lowest to 0. I said if the team points, which is team counter, this is an array we just made, if it's greater than highest, which is it's greater than 0, of course it will be, then highest will now be the team points counter, and top team will be team counter. The reason I use top team is because later when you want to output, you need to know the index of it. And the same thing is now for lowest, but this is least. And you end if, and you go, the whole loop is now saying next counter. Finally, in the end, I'm supposed to output the top team because it's telling us in the question. In the end, I am supposed to find the outputs of the name of the one with the highest points and the lowest points. So I'm hoping this helped you to understand this last question. I know it was a bit messy, but I tried my best to explain everything. But the best way to do this question is do it yourself, understand how everything works, and use this as a guide. If you have any questions, put in the comments, and subscribe because I'm uploading a lot of Feb March videos. So I'm hoping this helped you in some way or another, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.